Hi fam! I am excited to share with you some updates in the grow room. And as you know, this is a storage area in my basement. And your grow room doesn't have to be super big and fancy. It can be just as simple as what I've put together. And right now, I am in the process of changing some things up in here. As you can see, I've got some sprouts growing and they're thriving. And so in order to keep them thriving, I've added a wee little fan. What that does is that helps circulate and bring some wind and breeze so these guys can be successful once we decide to acclimate and get outside. I want them to be strong before then. So I'm going to be adding another fan once I've got some more sprouts. Some things don't always sprout, and this is important to know because the seeds are seeds, nothing's perfect, right? So sometimes the shells are just so hard that they don't crack open in germination. And that's not a terrible thing. It just takes a little longer for things to grow. What you can do is make sure you save your seeds so that way you can replant them in those pots that didn't have anything that grew. It's nothing you did wrong, my friend. You can try alternate methods as well for growing, and I'm going to show you some of that right now. So when I started off, I said, okay, soil. Remember, we did our starter soil, we did seeds, I added the lights, so that gives the nice light, the nice heat. Sometimes, though, seeds don't want to start off that way. You need to start them off in a dark space. And sometimes you need to start them off in a solution where you've got a wet paper towel and they start growing in there. Once they've sprouted, then you can go ahead and add those to the soil. So we're going to try a few different methods because I'm all about the science of it all. And I'm going to show you around here. So as you can see, these guys are growing nice. These guys have not yet, so I've replanted them. These guys did not grow yet, and so I've not only added seed, but the soil is already there. So now I've got them in a plastic dome that's actually closed off, and I've got them covered in darkness. Some seeds prefer that, so we're trying that for a couple of these that are starting to regrow. These guys are doing great, so in the process of watering them, and one of the ways that you can water is by using a spray bottle. Just keep the top of the soil moist, and then you can add water into the bin, which I'm going to do that right now. Warm water's ideal, not scalding hot water. You'll see, we've got fancy setup with like duct tape and stuff. But all of my lights are on timers, so they're not on 24 hours a day. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water to this pan. So that way, if these roots start poking through, they'll get extra food. This is very similar to what you would call a self-watering pot. Essentially, self-watering means that it waters through the holes underneath in the little pot containers. So we've got our fern up here, and this guy is helping to keep the air in here full of oxygen and humidity as much as possible. My room is about 72 degrees, and yeah, you can see I've got some things growing, some things not. The ones that aren't are moving to different areas. As far as oh, you didn't see that. Some things growing, some things not, moving to other areas. Those areas will have the plastic covers, and then I'll cover them with a towel until they're all sprouted. I've also got some different labeling methods. I know what these things are going to look like when they sprout, but unless you label every single item and you don't know what the sprout is going to look like, you'll want to actually add the label to each item if you can. If not, if you know what they look like, then you can just easily tape them up. I do have a couple cracks in some of these older containers, so they're going to drip down a little bit. I don't want to add too much water in the base of them. So as I'm finding the little cracks, I'm duct taping them, and that should work out great. The next time we visit, I've got the windblown look. Look, see, I told you storage. The next time we visit, I'm going to have the storage completely gone, I'm adding some of my smaller pots from outside in here, and I'm getting a grow light that actually is going to be standing up so I can adjust all the arms of it. That's going to be pretty cool. And I will also be talking about nutrients. Now I want to say, hear me out. There's no judgment, friends, okay? So if you've not started your seedlings and that's something you really want to do, start now. This is a perfect time. St. Patrick's Day week is a great time to start. Somebody mentioned the other day, that's too early for me. I don't think it is. The stronger the plants are before you acclimate them, the stronger they're going to be outside. So keep that in mind. If you can transplant as infrequent as possible, that is ideal. So think about bigger pots for bigger things. And if you don't have them, think about maybe going down to the garden center, seeing if they have extras, or go on Facebook Marketplace and see if there's some that way. But we're going to be talking about nutrients. And here's a really cool, quick story. I was talking to somebody this week about nutrients, and I said, if I invited you to my house, and I said, we're going to have a steak dinner, which is what the plants want. They want this big steak dinner, right? And you showed up at my house and I fed you iceberg lettuce and water. That's what happens when the nutrients is gone out of the soil and the plant's already absorbed it all, is we're just feeding it an iceberg lettuce salad without giving it any of the nutrients from the steak. So, as you know, iceberg lettuce doesn't have a whole lot of nutrients. So, something to think about. It's definitely worth investing in some really good nutrients, and we're going to talk all about that. So, share with me your photos of your grow room if you started one, and if you haven't, really seriously, there's no judgment. If it works out for you where you're not able to start any of your seeds, that's totally fine. Nobody says you have to start your seeds. Nobody says that there's, you must do it by this time. It's ideal if you can start them as early as possible. In fact, some nurseries plant theirs in January. But if it comes down to, okay, so now it's summer, I can't start my seeds, then fine. Get some established plants. Plant them in the ground. And we'll talk all about that later too. But don't put pressure on yourself to do something that you just don't have time for right now. I get it. There's no judgment here. So share with me your stuff. I want to hear. Tell me what you're planting. Tell me what you want to grow. Have a great day, friends. Talk to you soon.